We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new live demo. I am Maria Pais, and I am your host for this lovely Friday evening or Saturday morning, depending on where in the world you are watching us from. Thank you so much for coming here to assist to this live demo today. I am here with artist Kanchan. Hi, Kanchan. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Super excited for today. Now, before we get started, I'm just going to give you some quick announcements so I can let Kanchan show us her magic, but I want to get this covered really fast. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you can click on the bell, that way you'll get notified of every new demo every single time so you don't miss any of them. Then subscribe to our email newsletter as well. We've heard that we are being sent to spam. So please make sure to whitelist our email so that you get our emails on your main inbox. Then grab the link for today's demo and share it with your friends so we can all spend a lovely time together learning all these wonderful techniques. I will be dropping a link to the live demo survey so you can let me know what you thought of our content and what you thought of today and who else you want to see in our videos. If you have any recommendations, we read every single one of your comments, so please make sure to fill that out. And then as the norm, if you have any questions, please type question in front of it in big caps letter. That way, when I'm scanning the chat, I can see your question and I will ask them when it's relevant to whatever Kanchan's doing at the moment. If it's not relevant, I will save them for the Q&A portion at the end, but I will make sure to ask her your questions. I am seeing them, so don't worry about it. Then, we have a 1 hour time limit as usual, but before we get started, Kanchan, can you please show us all of your wonderful artworks?
Yes, so I have some of them here, and I started with the one which is one of my favorites. I think it's favorite because I didn't have to think too much and it just came out like naturally. So that love is there in this painting. And this is also available as a digital print on Etcher. So if you guys want to go and download it, you can do that. And this another theme, which was a party themed challenge that I participated on Instagram. And then I ended up with this and one of my favorites as well, and available with digital print on Etcher. And this is another one, which is also another favorite of mine, because I think this is the time and I actually came into detailed works. Like if you see the earlier ones were more freehand and this was more detailed. So another one of my favorites, and also available for download on the Etcher digital prints. This is another one that I have, which of hibiscus flower, very tropical feels. Similarly, even this one has a tropical feels, the orchids. And then we have the gulmohar. I'm not really sure what you call them in your language, but this is these flowers were very often available when I was like a kid, so we used to play with them a lot, and a lot of memories with gulmohar. So another favorite painting.
Not sure. Tiger lilies, maybe. If anybody
not really.
Type it over there. English is also not my first language, so I don't know.
Yeah, even I don't know what is it called in English. So I did research the name, but I couldn't really remember it. So anyways, so these are my paintings that I have so far. And what I'm going to paint today is this, another tropical flower. These are called plumerias or frangipanis. And in my language, it's also called safa, if anyone is there. Yeah, so my mom said, oh, this is a safa. So okay, now I know.
Awesome. That's so interesting. See, we're all learning stuff already. Now, everybody, if you are interested in painting this later and you want to make sure that you have the reference photo or the line art, I'm going to drop a link to that in the chat as well, so you can grab it. And then before I forget, Kanchan, our audience is always super interested in knowing where in the world you are.
Okay, I am in Singapore and it's 7 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah, there you go. We're all over, guys. So awesome. Then let's get started.
Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the colors that we are using today. So these are the primary colors that I'll be using a lot of interchangeably between Bordeaux and Crimson Lake. Crimson Lake is like a lighter value and little bit brighter. So if you see like this part of the flower is Crimson Lake, and here I'm using border for the darker ones. So the next color is the violet and the opera pink. So you can see the violets on the top of the flower here, and the opera pink is somewhere in the highlights here. So we'll be using that. And Van Dyke brown for the stem, and a little bit of sap green for the little sapling which is coming here. So a little bit of sap green and permanent yellow for all the highlights in the middle. So unique characteristic about plumerias is that they have a very bright center. The petals can be of various colors. So in this, I've made pinkish purple petals. Sometimes it's white, but the center is always really bright and yellow. So we want to keep that bright and yellow center. So that's why this is important when you're mixing the colors. The violet and the permanent yellow don't mix really well together. So we need to, as you can see in the middle, it gets a little murky, it gets a little muddy. So we don't want that. You'll lose the vibrancy of both the colors. So when we are mixing or making the petals, we are going to try and avoid this. But however, the pink and the opera pink and the yellow, permanent yellow light, and the violet and the permanent and the opera pink, they mix very well together. So what we are going to try and achieve is like the tip, like in this flower, will be a violet, and then you come to opera pink and then a yellow. So that way they all are mixing together. Of course, there will be some mistakes. It's watercolors and they have their own mind, I would say. So we'll try to try our best to avoid that. So let's avoid this muddy mix of violet and yellow. Okay.
And we have our first question on the chat, which is, what brand of paint are you using?
Okay, I am using these brands called the Shin Han professional watercolors. These are, I think, a little in the middle. They are not the professional grade and they're not the student grade, somewhere in the middle. So watercolors tend to get used very little. So I'm just waiting for them to finish before I can change my brand. But they are pretty good brands. Yeah, so they work. Okay, shall we start?
Yeah.
Everyone is ready? Okay. To start, wet your brush. I'm using a size 6 brush, and my brush doesn't hold a lot of water. So because you have to make a combination of brush and paper such that your paper, and if your paper doesn't take in too much water, your brush should not be holding too much water. Like it shouldn't be a natural hair, animal hair brush. They hold a lot of water. So this one doesn't. So I'm using a size 6 round brush. Dip it in the water that you have, and every time when you do this, so I will not be repeating this, every time you dip it in the water, just wipe it on the rim of the jar so that you take out all the excess water. And every time you use a color, because these are very light colors, I want you to take it only at the tip of the brush, not like just swirl your brush in the paint. It shouldn't have too much paint in it. So just take it at the tip of the brush. So first wash, it will be super light, and I'm going to start with the yellow, which is the brightest. The permanent yellow on my tip of the brush. And let's start with this flower first. So I'll just add the yellow here. And whenever I'm painting these petals, I'm going to leave like a really thin outline from the pencil mark. So later that can be served as a highlight. It will show up really well. I'm not sure if you can notice it, but here there is a really tiny white outline. So it's like it shows the highlight of the curve of the petals. So I'll try to leave that, and I'll just put the yellow here. And like I said, I want to try and avoid the mixing of the yellow and the violet. So again, clean your brush and take violet really less at the tip of your brush. And then just swirl it. Then wet your petal. Just wetting it. And again, taking the violet at the tip and just swirl it. Pick up anything extra. Since this is the first wash, it's okay to be really light. And the other tip here is to avoid this mixing of violet and purple, and violet and yellow. I really don't want the violet to come in the center. I want the center to remain bright. So I'm going to use the brush to a wet brush to move the yellow from here, from the center to the top. Instead of from purple to yellow, I'm going to go from yellow to purple. So that way, if there is any murkiness, it stays on top and not in the center. Okay.
Yep.
Now I'm going to take a little bit of opera pink, which is really bright, and I'll drop it here just for some highlights. Okay, and the opera pink mixes well with yellow, so I'm just blending it together so it looks natural. Okay, then let's move on to the next one. I'll repeat the same process here. Again, take yellow at the tip of your brush and just drop it here, and you try to leave a little bit of white outline or gap between the petals. Then wipe your brush and take the violet and just put it at the tip again. So it's anyways at the tip of the brush and your brush is wet, so the mixing of the color happens really well here. And you will get the petal shape. So I'm taking my opera pink again and I'm putting it in this side for a highlight. And I'm mixing it with the yellow. One more thing to notice, like if you want your petals to look curved this way, right? Or you want this petal to look curved this way, you keep moving your brush in that direction. That way it is easier to get that curved look when the petal dries up. So when I want my petal to look like this, I'm just moving my brush like that instead of just dropping it. So similarly here as well, I'm just moving my brush like that.
So we're following the shape.
Yeah, follow the shape of the petal you want it to look like. That way, in the end, it will have those strokes, your brush strokes, and that's how your petal even looks like it's bending, or the bends of the petal will look like that.
Right, right.
Okay, so this part actually, the petal I want, if you can see, it's a little bit curved here, and I'm using a darker shade here. So in this case, I'm going to add again, wet my brush and take Crimson Lake at the tip of my brush and put it at the edge like this and just swirl it like that. So again, I'm trying to leave really small, tiny gaps. Sometimes I'll fill it up in the end. Sometimes I'll just keep it like that to give that highlight. And I'm just, since this is the first wash, it's okay to be super light, and then we can add more details later. Okay. So there are two wet petals right next to this one. So I'm going to leave it for some time so that I don't make a complete mess of this side. And I'll go to the next petal here. So this next petal also has the center as yellow. And I'm going to again try and leave really tiny gap between the petals and just drop the yellow. Okay. Then take a little bit of violet in the same process and add it at the tip of this. So, yeah. Okay, and I don't want to lose the vibrancy of the yellow, but at the same time, I wanted to blend with the petal and not look like it's a different part of the flower. So I'll just move it around a bit. Okay, now I'll again take the opera pink, and this time I want the edge to be leave a little bit of gap between this petal. So I'm going to put it like this and leave the gap on top of the petal. This is the bottom of the petal, which is darker. So we'll keep it like this. Later, we'll add some more details to this. So it'll be more obvious which part of the petal it is. But right now, we'll just keep it very light and soft. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's move on to the next petal. Next petal has very little yellow showing because its center is not showing actually. If you see this petal, you can't see the center because it has the curve coming on top of it. So don't put too much yellow, just a little bit to show that it is there. But our main focus would be on the violet. So I'll put the violet again the similar way, wet the brush, take it at the tip of your brush and just swirl it around a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to leave this alone before I make the bottom of this petal because it's drying up. I'll move to the next petal. Let's come to this one first and then we'll finish this. So similar concept, again taking a little bit of yellow on my brush and leaving a few gaps. In watercolors, actually, the lesser you take, the better. You can always add layers and make it brighter, but you cannot remove the color, unfortunately. So your whites are so precious, you should just keep them as light as possible.
Mm. Yep. Very, very true.
Yeah. So yeah, I have spoiled a lot of paintings trying to add too much paint. So now I'm super cautious about how much paint I'm using on my flowers. So
You
I'm
learned
just
the hard
again
way.
yeah. Yes, that's right. So again, I'm going to just blend it a bit. And I'm moving my brush from yellow to the purple side, again, the violet side, instead of the other way around to keep the center bright.
Mhm.
Again, take some opera pink. In this case, I want this side to have a little bit of brightness. I'll keep it this way. And yeah, just mix it around. Again, it's really amazing to see every time I paint this, I do it looks quite different. I think I learn different techniques every time I paint the same painting. So let's see how this one comes out.
Well,
Uh,
and watercolor is hard to predict.
yeah, that's true. Watercolor is hard to predict, especially the color mixing of the petals. It can look very different.
Mm.
So I'm using the same concept here again, just tip of the brush and lighter. The top of the petals is like a mix of violet and opera pink. So try to keep that mix everywhere. It gives a nice effect. So the opera pink is actually showing that sunlight and the lighter parts of the petal, and the violet is the shadows or darker part of the petal. Okay. Now let's move to the next one. Again, in this, I'm going to leave a small gap and then put the yellow. And in this petal as well, you're not seeing too much of the center, so not too much yellow.
We have a comment here saying that to preserve anything you want to keep white, it should usually use masking fluid.
Yeah, you can do that. Masking fluid is tricky to use though. I've tried them. Yeah, it's a good option to use, but it's tricky. Need some practice.
And then you can get really hard edges.
Yeah, that's true. For the really hard ones, you can try that. Yeah. Okay, and then again, this flower as well has a little bit of red here. It's not very obvious in this one in my painting earlier, but I want to keep it similar looking like that. So I'm going to use the Crimson Lake again to mark this part of the flower. Okay, let's move on to the next one. A lot of watercolor painting is also patience.
Yes.
I have spoiled too much trying to do too fast. Okay, Okay, same concept, wet brush, paint at the tip. And just mix it, blend it. Okay. Again, add a little bit of opera pink. Too much. Yeah. So in this case as well, I want it to look something like this petal. So I'm going to take the darker value and put it just at the bottom of the petal like this and leave a really big gap of white on top. So all these whites will be more enhanced later when we add the details. Okay, let's do the last one, second last. I want to finish this as well. In this case, again, very little of the center is visible. Then make the petal, and this I'll mix a little bit more of pink and make it more, slightly more value. Okay, and mix it. And same concept. Here, just put it at the bottom and leaving the lid. Okay. So the last one, let me just finish that before we do the stems and come for the detailing. So here, so what I want to show is that the center is like darker because I wanted to show that this petal is going inside and there's a shadow here. So I'm going to make this part really dark, leave that gap of white and add the color like that. Clean your brush. This side of the petal I'm going to keep very light. I guess like this side is lighter and this side is darker because it's going inside and this one has the sunlight falling on it. So I'm going to keep the left of the petal a little lighter than the right. Okay, and blend it. Take some more and yeah. Okay. So while the petals are drying, we can add some buds. So depending upon how your placement of the flowers has come along, you can add it like to fill up the paper. So I haven't drawn them clearly because I just wanted them to be more freehand. So I want to put one bud here. Again, I wet my brush and I take color. I'm taking the Bordeaux color at the tip of my brush. And my brush is slightly wet because I want to get that effect. So I'm going to use this stroke to get the bud. Now clean your brush, no color, no paint on your brush, and just wet it.
That's a really nice effect.
Yeah. Less is more in watercolors.
Restraint is important.
Yes. Now I'm taking a little bit of brighter shade called Crimson Lake, and I'm just dropping it at the wet top. So it will give a nice effect as well. Very blended. Yeah. And we can add more details later. So let's add one more petal similar, not the petal, the bud on this side. So the composition of your painting can really vary depending upon how your initial flowers were placed. So as you can see, even this one is quite different. I kept everything here because this area was quite empty when I finished making the flowers. So buds are the fillers. You can put them anywhere you want. Okay, and then again, I'll drop a little bit of crimson at the top. Okay. Now let's make the stems Van Dyke brown. And the stems have this effect of joints. As you can see here, they look like they're joined together. So we're going to get that similar effect, try to get the similar effect. Uh, let's make it like bones. So like I've made one section, then I'm going to make the second section slightly bigger than the earlier one. And then again, the similar way, slightly bigger than the earlier one. I'll keep that same effect for the next one, next stem. I think this will become the stem for the bud on top. So like this. Just keep a bit of a gap between each section that has the highlights showing, like this. Even this, we can do that actually. And yeah, move it on top. Okay. Okay, so this is my one branch, and I want to make the same branch for this flower. So I'm just putting it here, make it look like it's coming from here, and make the sections again.
And if you are enjoying Kanchan's explanations and her beautiful painting and you want to learn more, she is going to be teaching a mini workshop. I'm going to drop the link for that on the chat. And it's going to be on June 24th or June 25th, depending on where in the world you are. It's going to be June 25th for Kanchan. And in this mini workshop, Kanchan is going to be teaching you tropical flower compositions made easy with watercolors. So please go ahead and sign up if you're interested. We are known to sell out. So please go ahead and sign up quickly so you can guarantee your spot. And remember that you will be getting a recording afterwards. And our recordings will be around from, well, as long as Etcher is around. So hopefully a long, long time. So here you go. Here's the link. Sign up, sign up. Advertising.
Okay, so okay, so we are here, the first wash of the painting, and it's already looking pretty decent actually. So now I'm going to add this color, the detailing. So what I'm using a detailing brush. My size is 20/0, but you can use a slightly bigger brush as well if you have. You just need to be able to control. Some people are able to control with the big brush tip itself. I can't do that. I have this tendency of pressing my brush a lot. So I've just got something like really small. So even if I have put a lot of pressure, it doesn't really give a fat line, right? I really want really thin, fine lines to come.
Hey,
so for the fine lines,
sizes.
Sorry?
That's why there are so many brush sizes.
Yeah, exactly. No one's complaining. So let's go and take some ochre pink, and I'm going to add the details with the ochre pink. And when I say the details, it's basically just making a lot of strokes or a lot of thin, fine lines. And I said the way you move your brush is the way your petal bends will look like. So I'm going to put this here at the tip of this petal. And I want this petal to be curved like this. So I'm going to keep moving my brush. Try to not take too much paint. You maybe take out a little bit and take the water. And just watery paint. For thin lines, I think watery paints are better than thick paints. So I'm just pulling the paint and making these swirls.
And just to let you know, sorry, we are 30 minutes in.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's hope we can finish. So I'm taking a wet brush to blend in all these lines. They shouldn't stand out. So just keep wetting your petal and when you're adding these details, and take this watery shade on your detailing brush, and again just keep pulling it to get that shape that you want, the bends that you want in the petal. So like this, I'm just pulling this. Let's try to make this petal first complete, and then we'll try to do the same technique on the rest of the petal. So the opera pink is quite bright, and while the petal is wet, I'm going to also drop in some more deep color, darker shades like the violet. So now that it's wet, I'll just add it here in the tip. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then take a little bit of darker shade, maybe mix Crimson Lake with your opera pink, because I don't want too light and I don't want it to be too dark. And then I'm going to make these center lines which are coming out. So like this. With this brush. Okay, and again I want a little bit of blending here to make it look like a part of the petal.
Those center lines make such a difference.
Yeah, really. It gives the definition.
Yeah.
So yeah, next one. In this case, I just want I want a slight white outline to be there. And earlier we made the petal like this, and I told you to leave a little bit of white gap. So that white gap will now become a part of the petal. So I'm going to just put an outline kind of thing. So it looks like it's turning inside, and it's a part of this petal. So it's like a small curve or turn of the petal. Now again, I'm taking a mix of Crimson Lake and opera, yeah, opera pink, and I'm just adding these lines. Here. Now take the watery shade of opera pink and add the fine lines. And if you think that they're standing out, just again take a wet brush and blend it in. Like this. And I again want to add a little bit darker shade at the edge. It gives a really nice definition to the petal if you add the darker shade while it's wet. And in this previous petal as well, I want to add the darker shade on the outside of the white gap that I left. So now it becomes a part of the petal and you have that little turn going on. Yeah. Okay, in this one, like I said, I want to leave this side really light in this case because I want to show that it's highlighted, and the one which is going inside will be darker. So in this case, I'm going to take a watery violet in my detailing brush, and I'm going to move the strokes in this direction. So I am going to leave the other side of the petal untouched. Again, take your wet brush and just blend it in. And then add some more strokes. Be sure to leave a little bit gap between the petals. It really gives a very good effect on the end when the entire painting is done. And while the petal is wet, just drop some paint at the tip, at the edge of the petal. like this. Now the Crimson Lake color, I'm again taking my brush, bigger brush, not the detailing brush, and I want to make this darker. Watercolors tend to dry lighter than you have painted usually. So this has become lighter than what I wanted. I really want this bright. Oh, like this, and then
I find it really hard to predict that about watercolors. You're
yeah,
painting them and
yeah,
they look beautiful, and then they dry and you're like, what happened?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is the similar problem here. I had to touch it up. So now I was telling you about this petal. The definition comes in when we are putting the details, right? So in this case, I have the bottom of the petal here, and this is the turn, and I have left a white gap between the turn. So I want to keep that white gap, and in the bottom, I'm going to add with the detailing brush a little bit of paint, and then make those strokes coming upwards. These strokes are coming upwards. Very tiny strokes. Okay. So this case, I'm again taking my bigger brush and I'm taking some opera pink and some crimson lake. I'm going to mix it and add it here because I want this inside of the petal to be more defined. So I'm going to put it this way. Okay. So can you see now how the petal is like bent from the bottom and this white is left untouched? Then I'll add the lines with the same watery color and detailing brush, the center lines coming out. Okay. And since my petal is wet, I'm taking a little bit of violet and adding the outline. Okay. In this petal now, I want to again add the outline using the violet. So I'm going to make it this way. And it's going to give that white outline, which is the turns of the petal. Again, in this one, I am taking my detailing brush and the violet shade, and I'm going to add, oopsie, my detailing brush is spoiled. Okay. Again, in the edge, I'm just putting this violet to show the inside of the edge is slightly darker. I'm taking my bigger brush and making the outside of the edge just like this petal, leaving a white gap. Okay, let that one dry. We'll go to the next one. In this, we'll again take the violet and I'm going to add the edge here, definition. I will take a little bit of mix of opera pink and crimson lake and leaving a slight white between them. I'm making the turn. So I'm leaving a little slight white between the petals, very small amount. Okay, back to the detailing brush and adding the lines, center lines. Sometimes the detailing brush and center lines actually look pretty good if it's dry. So as you can see, this one is a dry stroke. And wet your petal and add more details on top. I'm wetting it here. And I'm adding some more details using the opera pink and crimson lake mix. Like this.
Just to let you know, Kanchan, that one of our audience members has already registered to your mini workshop.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we're getting wonderful, wonderful comments on the chat about how beautiful and how lovely the colors are.
Yeah, these are my favorite colors too, actually. If you see my Instagram, you will see a lot of flowers which are pink and purple and yellow. Yeah, favorite colors. How much time do we have? We have enough time. I think we should be able to finish it.
20 minutes.
Yeah. So we go and add some more details here. Again, the turns are the important parts of the petals and the white gaps. So leave the white gaps. Wet your petal. Step number 1. Take your detailing brush and strokes. This one I'm going to make strokes this way. I want to make it look like this. Okay. And since the petal is wet, you can add a little bit of violet to give that detail. Blend it and add the center lines. Okay, cool. Not bad. Okay, now in this one, I want to take the bigger brush and I'll take a little bit of violet on my tip. And here I want to make this into a turn. So I'm like carving a turn out of a petal, which was not drawn before. So I'm going to keep this like this and just carve a turn out of the petal. So earlier I had added a really light shade there, which you can see here. And now I'm going to make that into the turn. So again, I'll add this here. Okay. This, I want the petal to be a little bigger, so I'm just increasing size. And then add some details. I think adding the details is my favorite part. It really gives so much definition to the petal.
Yes.
Again, take the crimson lake and take the center lines outwards. Okay. Now again, same steps are repeated for the rest of the petals. And I'm using violet with my wet brush to just add the outline because that gives a nice definition in the center. I will add it to the bottom of this petal as well. And then I'm going to make same color like this petal. I'm making small strokes upwards. Too much paint. Wet brush. Okay. Again, small strokes upwards. Like this. Okay. Now take the violet in your, the bigger brush, not the detailing brush. And I'm going to add some here, leaving the white. Oops, I got the muddy yellow here. I didn't want this. I'm going to touch it up with some yellow. Okay. Let me add some details to this as well. Strokes. And if you're painting this, I would really like to see actually if anyone has painted along, how did it turn out? You can share it.
Yes, of course. If you want to share it on social media, also remember to use the hashtag #EtcherStudio. And that way you immediately get entered into a weekly giveaway. So we will award one winner every week, and the price is different every time. So you sometimes get a mini workshop voucher, sometimes you get a sketchbook. So it's all varied. So remember, #EtcherStudio.
Yeah. Can I participate?
Of course you can.
Okay. Then I'm going to post this one up on my account.
And tag us.
Yeah, and tag you. Hopefully win something. Okay. This is the last petal. And you can add as much detail as you want or as loose as you want this to be. It's like your choice. Again, I see the Crimson Lake has dried lighter than I expected.
Mm.
So I'm going to add some more detail, some more paint, some more value. And here I'll put some strokes to just not look flat. Okay. Now I'm taking Bordeaux and adding some just strokes here at for the buds. To finish it off. Leave if you can leave a little bit white, it's good. It gives a nice effect of highlights. And I said, as I said, watercolors, whites are more precious. You can, if it doesn't look good, then you can always add later paint to it. And similarly in this side, I'm going to add some strokes. Give this, but slightly more detail. Okay, so the last part of this is adding sap green to this sapling, which is coming here. And I'm going to just add that. Something new coming here. Okay. That's it. I think I don't want to add any more details. I can go on and on actually. Adding details and then eventually regretting it.
Yeah, you were worried for time.
Yeah, not bad. Two flowers. So another tip is that if this one I wanted to just make two flowers in the interest of time, but this original one I had added four, and no one notices it, but this is just a mirror image. I realized that later after completing this painting, the bottom was too empty. So I just copied these two over here. So it's like a tip in composition of flowers. You can just put them around similar flowers and it will still look good and still look different, because every time you paint these flowers, they turn out to be completely different, as you can see. Similar, but different. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kanchan. This was very, very entertaining and illuminating on the nuances of not muddying our paints and keeping that brightness. It's really definitely very, very, very good tips.
Thank you. I really enjoyed painting this, and I'm going to go back and take a nice photograph now that the sunlight is out. Post it on my Instagram.
And we were also wondering if you can bring back here in the beneath your camera the painting that they'll be learning in the mini workshop.
Yeah, sure. Let me see if I have that here with me.
Or something similar.
Yeah, I have the exact same one actually. Luckily, it's right here.
Ooh.
This is the one. Yeah. So in the mini workshop, there of course we'll add more details like the background and the leaves, and this is also plumerias, but there are different kinds. So we'll also learn how to draw them. This one has, like, if you see, these plumerias are a little more open kind of plumerias. So these are different species. This is a little more closed kind of plumerias.
So we'll learn how to draw, we'll learn how to paint, we'll add a background, we'll add more detail. It's going to be a very, very full mini workshop. Yeah. So make sure to sign up, everyone.
Yes, this is what we are learning there. And different shapes of flowers. So this one had only 2 shapes. This one has a bud and a small blooming flower, almost blooming flower, or a full bloom flower.
So it's going to be a very, very interesting mini workshop. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you so much, Kanchan, for teaching us and being so generous with your knowledge and so clear with your process. It is really a gift to be able to explain everything so fully. Now,
thank you.
We also want to say to everyone that's watching today, thank you so much for coming. And again, remember to purchase your seat on Kanchan's mini workshop. If you want to support her differently, maybe you love her paintings, we have digital prints, so you can purchase those on our site. I am dropping a link to those right now. And then please remember to sign up for the mini workshop, support us, join our Facebook groups, join us on social media. I dropped Kanchan's Instagram a while ago, but Kanchan, if you want to tell them again what your Instagram handle is.
Yeah, it's Petite Procrastinator. So come join me on Instagram. I'm always posting something.
And remember to tag us with the hashtag so that we can make sure to see your work and enter you in the giveaway. So sign up, and thank you so much for joining us today. Please leave us feedback on our live demo survey so that we can give you the best content that we can. And remember, comments are really important to us. We read every single one. So do make sure to add that there in our live demo survey. And I don't know, Kanchan, if you want to have any final words before we get going.
Yeah, so thanks for joining today. I really had fun. It was one of my very first experiences teaching. So I hope, I'm looking forward to your comments and feedback. And if there's anything I can improve for the mini workshop, then I'll be really glad to get those feedback from you.
Thank you so much, everyone. We already have a few people signed up for the mini workshop, so I'm super excited. You're all going to have such a blast. And that is awesome. That's it for today. So thank you so much, everyone. And please join us for another Etcher mini, another Etcher live demo, and join us for our mini workshop. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today.
Thank you.
Kanchan. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.